Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds. And here with me today, I have one of these guys who I really feel like you need to get to know. His name is Owen Grover. He is a linebacker out of Wartburg College. Nice to meet you today, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to meet you too.
So yeah, I mean, if people don't know you and know your school, you guys really had an awesome year last year, prime to really make a splash once again. You yourself an All-American. So let's go ahead and talk about that story. Owen, go ahead and tell me where you're from, and we'll get started with everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Owen Grover. I graduated from Beckman Catholic High School, which is in Dyersville, Iowa. So for all of you that have seen the Field of Dreams, it's a real small town in Iowa with about 5,000 people. I graduated high school in 2019 from that small school and ended up at Wartburg College, kind of because it offered a really good mix of me wanting to be a pre-med student, and having the chance to do academically what I wanted to do, and also the football goals that I obviously wanted, and put me where I am now. Um,
Interesting. So, are you pre-med right now?
yeah, so I'm a pre-med student. Yeah.
Interesting. So obviously, uh, kicking ass in the classroom as well as on the football field. So, cool. Appreciate that one, as well. But, let's talk about, this journey a little bit. So,
Yeah.
Beekman Catholic High School, in my notes, you actually did a whole lot more than just football there, man. I mean, soccer, wrestling, a little bit of baseball. Talk to me about your time in high school as a high school athlete for Beekman Catholic.
Yeah, so at Beckman, we had a graduating class of probably 65 students. So, and one thing that was really preached there, and even from my parents growing up, was just be involved in as much as you can, which I loved. Being a four to five sport athlete in high school, it was always just one thing right into the next. Getting the chance to play football and then go right into wrestling season a week later, and then start straight into soccer, straight into baseball. It's kind of what I loved. And I really appreciate the process of doing like dual sport training. And like you can still have a really good football off season in the summer while playing baseball, I think, and it obviously worked out really well for me. But yeah, it was pretty awesome, and it was cool because it's just the same group of guys that play all these sports together. You only have 20 to 30 guys in a class, so every one of them plays almost every sport. And you all get to be super good friends doing it too, which I really enjoyed.
So, do you feel like those things helped you as a football player? I mean, a guy who is, stand out as a soccer player and also a wrestler. I mean, how does that translate to the football field?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially the wrestling aspect of it, I would say. I know you hear a lot of offensive line coaches talk about how they look for guys that have wrestled. And like I remember in high school, we were in the same conference as Mount Vernon, so I watched Tristan Wirfs wrestle against all of our guys in high school and guys like that. And Linderbaum from Solon. So two guys that are NFL guys now, that wrestled in high school in the same conference as me. So being able to watch those guys, um, and just the being able to like body control aspect of wrestling is so important and translates so well to football, I think.
Yeah, and I know soccer is a different kind of football,
Yeah.
but you figure you're running around all the time there. I mean, you got to have the stamina, so I mean that certainly translates as well. So, interesting thing that I found out about you as well. I mean, I realized that you had a small high school, but you were actually a high school valedictorian. So, um, cool. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I've always, I think from a young age, my parents always kind of instilled in me, that same idea of doing everything you can and doing it to the best of your ability. So getting a chance, I had some great teachers in high school. That's kind of how I ended up deciding, like, obviously from a young age, I want to play football, and that's what I want to do, and that's my dream. But I also had some really, really good science teachers when I was a kid and growing up. And those are kind of the people that inspired me to, if football isn't my path, then I got to have another plan. And, that was sciences and I loved it. And so that's kind of how I ended up where I am now.
So just kind of thinking about like this football path, like how far back does it go, man? When did you start playing?
We started ours like organized football for us didn't start until fifth grade. So there wasn't like a flag football like organized league. So it was kind of just like me and my neighbors playing in our yard right up until that point. And then in fifth grade, they used to go right to padded football in the league that we played in, which was pretty cool too.
So I mean, you get a guy playing football kind of out in the middle of nowhere in some cornfield in Iowa, and then how did that work out for you? I mean, obviously you ended up at Wartburg, but I mean, was the recruiting process like struggle? I mean, talk about that, man. I mean, obviously you're a D3 guy, and I don't know, maybe perhaps I don't know how that struggle was for you. So
Yeah,
talk about it.
yeah. And so obviously coming from a small school, that made it a little difficult trying to get film out to people, trying to show like, hey, I competed against these high level guys, which obviously there's just, the smaller level you get, there's just less of those guys. And the other one struggle that I had for sure was my junior year of high school. I broke my hand and had some rotation with the break. So I was out. I think I played like the first 3 games of my junior year of high school and then missed the entire rest of my junior year. So a big recruiting year, obviously, in your junior year of high school. Didn't get the chance to do any of that. So, I mean, obviously I had my film from my sophomore year playing varsity and then just the stuff my senior year. And so we had to push a lot of the senior year stuff, but ended up at Wartburg, which was perfect. So.
Well, I mean, obviously Wartburg has worked out for you personally. I mean, again, All-American, very well respected guy, leader there. So talk to us about Wartburg College, man. I mean, a lot of people don't even know about it. I mean, it's a school that is a small school. So what's so special about that place?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that like at Wartburg is just a group of guys that are all kind of from this Midwest, like small town, Northeast Iowa, a couple Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois kids, but a lot of guys that come from this similar small town mindset. And I mean, like our coaches always preach this like blue collar method of football that we play. And here we just have an incredible coaching staff. I've had a chance, our linebacker coach that we've had, Coach Cheddar, just been incredible in my development. And he's been there since my freshman year. So I've had him every year. And one of the things that worked out really well at Wartburg is obviously being that it was a small school, I had a chance to contribute really quick. So first like 2-3 games freshman year, I was like special teams guy, and then quickly turned over. And by the 4th or 5th game of the season, was able to start at linebacker in my freshman year. And that year we actually got to play in some really high level games, ended up making the playoffs, playing against UW Whitewater there, where we ended up losing a pretty close game, and then they ended up playing in the national finals. So getting a chance to play in games like that pretty early on was really cool for me. And obviously just like helped so much with my development, having 5 years now, going to be going in my 5th year of being able to play at that level and being able to get good coaching has been awesome at Wartburg. And Coach Winter, our head coach this year, so it was Coach Willis when I started, who did a lot of my recruiting, and then transitioned to Coach Winter, who is our defensive coordinator for that entire time and has been. He's a guy that graduated from Wartburg, played here, and he's just done an incredible job. And also was the D3football.com coach of the year this past year. And he's a great players coach and a guy that really cares a lot about his dude. So it's been pretty awesome.
Great. What does that defense look like these days? I mean, can you try your best to describe it?
Yeah. So we run it's a pretty atypical defense. And so we're on a 4-3. So we're on a 4 down, but they don't have, so our outside linebackers, which is what I played to start. We play like a lot leverage based, but no like true contain. So our D linemen generally are A gap, B gap defenders. And then outside linebackers are C gap defenders, but not a true like C gap or contain. It's all about, creating leverage, making plays. So what I did is so I came in out of high school as a middle linebacker, transitioned right to outside linebacker when I got to Wartburg, played that for the last 3 years until the playoffs of this year. And we had an injury in our middle linebacker, Antonio Santillan, who was a great middle linebacker for us that I played with for all 4 of those years too. And then when he got injured, I moved over to middle linebacker. And what our middle linebacker does in our scheme is they line up about 7 yards off the ball and just have total free reign of just play the ball carrier. Knowing that we don't have any true like open gap assignment that our middle linebacker has to play, it's like just a dude that is supposed to just make plays and it's kind of your job. So it was awesome. I love it. And this year, that's where I'll be playing is at the middle position. I was playing outside too, just because it's like any pulling guards, tight ends blocking out to you. It's all just about being better than that dude and being physical and making plays. But I'm excited. It's a new challenge. Going straight to middle linebacker in the playoffs and not having played that. But I loved it, and it sets up our defense pretty well.
So it's just getting to the point where now you're spying the guys in the backfield and just kind of, adjusting, making calls here and there. I mean, dude, as a guy that is, now the middle linebacker, I mean, I think a lot of people look towards you as a leader. You're the guy who's more or less the quarterback of that defense. What type of leader are you? Can you enlighten me a little bit?
Yeah, I've always, in any leadership, like high school team captain and being a team captain for Wartburg now, always been a super positive based leader. I'm definitely not a guy that's gonna like super yell at guys or get on guys. I'm always just one, lead by example, do the right things, and other people will do that too. And if they see, our guys that are in these positions doing the right things, then they're gonna do the same thing too, especially when, a school like Wartburg where we have 120 kids on the roster. So you got a lot of young guys that are looking up to you at all times. So I definitely lead by example and then positivity. And like if you watch our defensive film at any time, one thing you'll see is these guys just celebrating all the time. Anytime someone makes a big play, everyone's getting fired up and cheering them on, and you'll never see like guys turning and yelling at anyone, which I think is something that's been so successful about our defense this past year. Was just the group of guys was so tight knit and trusted each other so much that it was kind of how we rolled.
Cool. So, Owen, I'm trying to figure out what type of athlete I'm looking at, because obviously, like you said, played some outside, now playing in the middle, and you also play punter, which I think is very interesting. So, how in the world did that first happen, man? Have you always been a punter, or did they just have a need? How did that work out?
Yeah, so I punted in high school, like kind of the same thing, like small school, did a little bit of everything, a little kicker, punter, just because we didn't have a ton of guys. So I punted in high school and then never even thought about it when I was at Wartburg. And then this past year, we only had like 2 or 3 punters on our roster. So they're like, when we were in camp, they're like, if anyone punted in high school and wants to give it a whirl, I was like, it was at the end of practice one day. I was like, I'll go over and kick a couple balls, see if I still got it. And went okay. And I, felt pretty good kicking the ball around. So then I was kind of like, for the first half of our season, like when we go warm up, I just go on with the punters before games and stuff. And, just like an emergency guy if they need it. And then kind of just like came to the point where we kind of wanted to implement something else. So I would do a lot of rugby style punting, and we kind of started to like that style of punt. So about halfway through the season, I just started doing it for the team. I kind of thought it was going to be like a 1-game deal at first. It was about midway through the season and wanted to make an adjustment. We were playing Central College, so I went out there and punted, and then kind of just stuck with it. I punted really well that game. And yeah, I don't know if that is something that I will be doing in the future. I don't know if we're going to be playing this year either, but
Well, I guess you just kind of take it as it goes. Obviously it's something that you can do. You can go out there and do that. So but honestly, man, I see you more as a linebacker. No offense, but
no,
I
I'm
see you
not.
as
I'm not a punter.
I see you as a guy that maybe is like the emergency guy, like you said. So,
Yeah,
but having some pretty decent size to yourself as a linebacker does allow you some versatility. You get a guy who's almost 6'3", 232 pounds. So, there's a lot that's going on for you there, man. I think that you do check a lot of boxes for a guy at the linebacker position. But what do you feel is maybe your best attribute? If there is any, what would you say?
yeah. I think I'd say my two best attributes are one, my like ability to see the game and adjust quickly and play. And just, I mean, there's a difference between like being fast and playing fast.
Sure.
And one thing that I do well is I think I can play really, really fast, react super quick to reads, which then my second best or my other best attribute I would say is allows me to be super physical and take on blocks, just like being 100% confident in myself, flying at dudes, taking blocks on, shedding them, and being able to make plays then. So being able to see the game quick allows me to react quickly and then be able to make plays.
Cool. Well, obviously Wartburg is it's a team to be reckoned with, in Division 3. I mean, obviously you guys did an excellent job last season. Went 13-1, went to the semifinals of the playoffs, and got yourself this close to that national title scene. So, what's it going to take for you guys to be in that national contention once more this upcoming year?
Yeah, so kind of like I was saying, it was just about, trusting each other and doing the things we've been doing, but also recognizing that last year we didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve. So obviously we did things that were awesome and we're really proud of what we did and really happy. But recognizing that we need to be training in new ways. And, so we've still made adjustments this offseason or making adjustments into the beginning of this season, knowing that, like where we got is awesome, but it's not where we wanted to be. And it's not where we're planning on being this year. So making those changes in terms of our training. And one thing that we've done this past year, I don't know if you've heard of like the Feed the Cats system of training, but it's all based on like short sprints and well rested and keeping guys away from injury. So it's like everything you do, you're doing it 100%. So we're never like doing like long, short, or like long, slow movements of any sort. It's all like super power based. And we have this like elite form technology, which is what a lot of which is really cool for a D3 program because we were one of the first D3 programs to have it. It's like what a lot of like the D1 programs train with. And it's all measuring bar velocity when you're in the weight room and power output and movement. So everything's calculated. You see your numbers as you're lifting. You have goals that you're going for as you're lifting. And put it all on a spreadsheet for our coaches to analyze and look at the improvements that we're making. And so, yeah, that's been a super important method of training that we actually started a few years ago. So going into this past season, and then obviously see the improvement that we made. So kind of in keeping going with that method of training, and then making a couple adjustments too to be able to be where we want to be now.
Nice. I mean, obviously, I feel like you guys do have potential to, be in that national title. I mean, bro, just kind of looking at last season, I mean, losing to Mount Union by a field goal. I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, you guys were this close. I mean, and I feel like, I mean, you completely dominated your conference. So, it's all about just, sticking the course, and finishing when it's all said and done. So, you mentioned just a little bit about, just kind of how you've developed a little bit, as a program, but also wanted to just kind of talk to you about how you feel you have personally changed, like throughout your time there at Wartburg. I mean, what do you feel has changed the most since you coming in as a freshman up until now?
I think one of the things is obviously like knowledge of the game. It's just such a different level of coaching. People that are really, I had incredible high school coaches, and they were able to teach me so much about like being a leader, being a great football player, but then like getting position specific coaching, whereas I really focus on like being the best linebacker possible and learning so much about just defensive schemes and body positioning and all these little things, like the little details that we've been able to focus on, especially these last few years when we've had a really old group of linebackers who have been in the program for a long time. It just allows us so much freedom to focus on really small details, which I think has been super important for me. And also, like part of that then goes to just giving myself confidence and like going from being a freshman on the football team to where I am now. Just playing so much faster because I'm so much more confident and then able to trust myself and my teammates. One of the reasons that like our defense is so successful and we had a great year last year is because because we know that like every other guy out there is going to do their job. So like I can play super fast, on my leverage, knowing that I don't have to make up for anyone else because those guys are doing their job. And, I got 10 other dudes who are, working their tail off to do the same thing out there. And then they trust me that I'm going to get my job done. And it just allows our defense to play so fast and like that leverage based defense.
Awesome. Well, Owen, as we kind of reflect a little bit on your time there, I want to give you an opportunity to maybe share one of your best moments. I mean, obviously you got one more year left to go, so hopefully you'll get the best moment, obviously. But
Yeah,
whenever you look back at what you've done so far, give me an example, man. Give me maybe like your best game, maybe even your best play. Can you walk me through something like that?
Yeah. I mean, so I think my favorite team moment would definitely be when we were at home against Aurora in the quarterfinals, our first ever home quarterfinal game that we'd ever played at Wartburg College, having the chance to play our first ever semifinal game. And it was just like a great team effort. So it was incredibly a part of that incredible atmosphere. I remember watching our safety kind of pick off a ball, pick six to clinch it. And like that was like one of my favorite like team members, us running down the field. So in terms of like one of my favorite Wartburg memories, that would definitely be it. But I think one of my favorite play I've been in is St. John's first drive of the game. So our offense drove straight down, scored a touchdown, and then first offensive play for them of the game, they threw a little deep crosser across the middle. And I melted with it, moved and picked it off for our first play. And I just remember like I was like, here we go, like we're getting rolling. Like couldn't have had a better start to that game for us. Then we go on to win that game. So that was pretty incredible. And they like I said, St. John's have an incredible program and an incredible environment to play at for D3 football. So that place was really amped up, and it's really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of great teams there, a lot of great players. Do want to again just kind of acknowledge the fact that we have a linebacker here who can also catch the ball. He
Yeah.
had 5 interceptions last year, which I think is crazy for a linebacker. So, 112 total tackles, 5 interceptions, 5.5 sacks. Definitely getting after it all over the place, man, in the backfield, and also in coverage. So certainly helps, get a picture as to, the type of linebacker that we're seeing here. So let's also give a shout out to some of those guys. I mean, I know you have a lot of great teammates. Give me just a few of them that you feel a lot of people need to know.
Oh man, yeah, there's so many guys that I could talk about on our defense. I know one dude, Parker Rochford at safety, just been an incredible young guy last year. Sophomore, going to be junior. And the cool thing is he came in, so we do like a little night program where like an upperclassman gets paired with a underclassman, like right when they get on campus. And he was my little night, so I'm pretty proud of where he ended up. But he's an incredible athlete and definitely should be on people's radars. Another guy that was like second team All-American, third team All-American guy, and he's going to definitely be making some big plays this year, and he'll be a menace to watch. But also Jordan Downing, one of my roommates that I live with, he's D lineman, D end, and he's going into his 5th year too. And he's probably has a chance to break the Wartburg sack record this year. I know when we played Aurora in that quarterfinal game, you had 4 sacks against those guys in a big game against some of the best linemen in the country. He's put a clinic on out there. So, if anyone has a chance to watch that film, is pretty incredible. But yeah, and then, I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, Noah McLaughlin, our quarterback's just been incredible at not just like throwing the ball around well, but being like a team leader for those guys and keeping all those guys in check. And then Hunter Clausen, running back, can't forget about that guy. He's the craziest dude I've ever seen run the ball. Like in terms of like reckless abandonment, someone who just runs and doesn't care about his body and just puts it on the line. He's the best I've ever seen do it that way. So, I mean, there's so many other guys I could talk about too, but got a good group of guys coming back.
Hey, appreciate you shouting those guys out. Certainly a lot of great names there for people to really pay attention to as well. So, want to take a moment to actually not talk football for a while. So, get to know this guy under the helmet, this Owen Grover. So, whether it be your hobbies, interests, or any special talents or something? Tell me something about you that maybe not everybody knows.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of kind of like some of the things I love doing, I love being outside. I spent last summer in Denver, Colorado, doing an internship out there. So I got to hike in the mountains, hike 14ers, which was a blast. And that's something I really love, being out in nature, going on hikes. And then my family, every once in a while, will take trips out to Colorado as well and go skiing out there. So a place that I've always really, really enjoyed being. One thing that like no one would ever guess about a guy like me is I was in band in high school and I played the drums. So that was always something that like when people ask for fun facts, I was like something that's different about me. I was in the marching band and in band would march in the parades and stuff. So it was a pretty cool experience too. I like to be do different things, try different things out. So yeah, those are a couple of things about me.
It definitely sounds like a lot of fun. The funny thing about a drummer, man, if you've ever seen a drummer's guns, drummers got guns. So like, I don't, but I mean, because I'm not a drummer, but I mean, you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So let's just kind of have a quick session of like quick question answer period. So just for fun here. So favorite movie?
Well, I'm gonna go with Top Gun.
Top Gun. The first one I imagine, right?
Yeah, but I love the second one actually. In terms of like like making a second movie, usually those don't go as well. But I mean, Top Gun Maverick's awesome.
Cool. Is there a TV show also that you would maybe recommend that I binge watch or something?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I've never been a huge TV show guy. What would my go-to? I love Friday Night Lights, which is probably the most like football player answer ever.
Sure. Well, that's fine. Favorite superhero?
I'd probably go with Thor.
Thor. Interesting.
Yeah,
Uh, favorite breakfast cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
And I get that one a lot. I don't know why. I
Yeah.
get that one a lot from people. Favorite snack food?
I like anything s'mores flavored. So like, I like s'mores in general. I don't know if I call that a snack, but like anything s'mores flavored, any like candy bar that's s'mores flavored at all.
I'm pretty sure I think there's a cereal out there too for
Yeah,
it.
s'mores cereal too. I should have said that for my favorite cereal. I like that stuff too.
Or you just get, like, what is it? What is the graham cracker one? You just
Yeah.
get that one and
20 grams or whatever.
yeah,
Put some marshmallows in.
just add all that stuff in there.
Yeah.
Cool. You said that you sometimes make it out to Denver, Colorado, maybe go skiing and stuff, but I mean, is that the furthest you've ever been from home?
Yeah, probably. Like for a significant amount of time, Denver would probably be the furthest. Took a couple trips to Florida with my family. But that would be never been out of the country. I was supposed to go. My family went to Mexico. It was during the COVID year, like the year after COVID year, and it was supposed to be over our spring break. And Wartburg took away spring breaks because they didn't want people like going away from campus and stuff. So I went to Mexico without me. So that would have been my first chance to go out of the country. But
well, maybe next year or this year, who knows? But
yeah, maybe.
Cool. Tell me about your hometown. I mean, is there anything else about your hometown other than it being like a small little place? I mean, what's so special about that place for you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'd like the charm of Dyersville, like all the small local businesses, and the fact that like almost anywhere I go, I will know people and know a lot of people. And when I was in high school, it was a 7th grade through 12th grade, and I probably knew 90% of the kids' names, like from 7th grade up to my senior year. So that's something I really liked. I liked like walking down through even like little kids, like little 7th graders, and like knowing who they are and saying hi to them. So I really liked the small town charm of Dyersville, and like I liked being in Denver last summer, and it was really cool to experience something different because it was totally different being in downtown Denver. Just a totally different area, which I loved and enjoyed the new challenge and being something different. But I think there's nothing quite like 4,000, 5,000 people in small town Iowa who like everyone comes out to watch you on Friday night football, and everyone knows what's happening and texts you a good job after games and like that type of thing. So yeah, it's been something that's been really cool. I love being from there.
Cool. I know obviously your one of your goals is maybe to make it to the pros. So I mean, is there a guy that plays your position in the pros that either you try and model your game after, you're a fan of, or something? Can you give me an example of one of them guys?
Yeah, I think my favorite linebacker that I watched was Luke Kuechly. He's the man, and that's kind of like who I've modeled my game off a little bit. Obviously, doesn't play anymore, but he's a guy that I loved watching
Sure,
and in
sure.
terms of building everything.
Well, Owen, we've I guess met you on and off the field, and do want to kind of wrap up our time here very soon. But I mean, you got one more season to
Yeah.
hopefully win a national title and get and hoist that trophy. But one more season really to showcase your talent in front of some scouts and maybe tell them that they need to take a look at this one guy out of Wartburg because I mean he might be a good addition to an NFL team. So go ahead and hit them with your pitch and tell them why they need to take a chance on you. So go for it.
Yeah, I guess I would say a guy that knows the game really well, but also has the size, the speed, the abilities to be able to play at that next level. Um, and also in me, like the thing you're going to get is a person who will work relentlessly to be able to succeed and be able to do whatever it takes for the team to win. Um, so a guy that's willing to do whatever it takes, be a leader on and off the field, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get a guy with good size, good versatility, great leader, checks a lot of different boxes, man. And I feel like people really need to get a chance to know you. So appreciate the interview and wish you best of luck this season. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.
No problem. Once again, Owen Grover, linebacker at a Wartburg College. Check him out.